Now let's get into some fact-checking. The first fact on which they disagreed had to do with this question as to whether or not the president charged Mitt Romney wanted to keep troops in Iraq after the vast majority were pulled out. Let's play the clip.
You and I agreed, I believe, that there should have been a status of forces agreement. Did you? Oh, you didn't? You didn't want a status of forces agreement?
No, what I would not have done is left 10,000 troops in Iraq that would tie us down. That certainly would not help us in the Middle East.
I'm sorry. You actually, there was an effort on the part of the president to have a status of forces agreement.
Well, in fact, I think you have to give the points to Mitt Romney on that. Provided as part of the troop withdrawal by George W. Bush and in a deal with the Iraqi prime minister is that there would be a status of forces agreement and that there would be a residual force. There was talk of it as little as 5,000. The military wanted closer to 20,000. The person put in charge of it was Joe Biden, the vice president. And at one point he said, I'll bet you my vice presidency, Maliki, the Iraqi prime minister, will extend the status of forces agreement, but it all fell apart. They never got it, but it's clear Romney was right, Obama was wrong. Obama wanted and failed to get a status of forces agreement. The other thing, and we talked about this before, this very cutting moment when Romney was talking about how Obama was going to gut the military, and Obama said, well, you don't understand what the military is today. Let's play that.
I think Governor Romney maybe hasn't spent enough time looking at how our military works. You mentioned the Navy, for example, and that we have fewer ships than we did in 1916. Well, Governor, we also have fewer horses and bayonets because the nature of our military has changed. We have these things called aircraft carriers where planes land on them. We have these ships that go underwater, nuclear submarines.
Well, as it turns out, in the middle of the debate, after he heard this, a Marine tweeted Fox News and said, the Marines still use bayonets. So it may not be clear who doesn't understand what the military currently uses. Finally, very briefly on the auto bailout, in an editorial that Romney wrote in November of 2008, which had the headline, he didn't write it, Let Detroit Go Bankrupt. He did argue for bankruptcy, a managed bankruptcy, but at the end he said, the federal government should provide guarantees for post-bankruptcy financing and assure car buyers that their warranties are not at risk. So at least on that point, again, Romney seems to have had the record straight.